We're back. Yes. So, anyway, we all live in a yellow submarine. What a yellow submarine. What do y'all think about the submarine? What in the world? Why would you take a submarine out there in a space in time in which we should not be going out into an area where they got into the red line? You don't supposed to cross the red line if you're gonna go out there. The military will get you because they have a right to protect, have a duty to protect us. And so if in fact you take a submarine because you were a couple of bored billionaires and now you're missing, now I don't profess to know all the details of what fors and whys, but I think it's just asinine. And like you hear stories about people who have nothing but time on their hands in the first place, and the first thing they want to do is test the waters. No pun intended. Okay. But that's what they did. They out here testing the waters and making it be like an option. Uh, like, oh, if we have a submarine, surely they won't do anything to us because, you know, whatever, what for and why. But you know what? That's just some craziness. Because why would you even attempt to put yourself in harm's way? You got family members looking for you. Now they're saying that they found bits and pieces of it in the same place where the Titanic was located. That's crazy. The whole thing's crazy to me because I'm just outdone and out befuddled and bewildered as to why somebody would do something so crazy as to get in a submarine. Now, maybe I don't have all the facts, but let's just start from the beginning. Okay, I'm Dee Marie. I'm your host. This is our segment of trending topics. And before we dive into this subject, let's just talk about the submarine for a minute. Okay. Now, I know I don't know all it is, and this is just my opinion. But if anything shows up, uh, like I said, in military zones, I know that they're supposed to take action. And so, in my thoughts and opinion, I believe that this is what happened: is that this submarine crossed into some section of our military area that they should not have, and somehow and for some reason have been done away with. Unfortunately, now there was a some information released, like I said, by the U.S. Coast Guard, saying that missing pieces submersed in and near the wreckage of where the actual Titanic took place, you know, um, which killed like 5 people on board. But the Coast Guard officials said that during a news conference Thursday, which is today, that they've notified the families of the crew of the Titan, which has been missing for several days. And because of that debris that they found during the search for that vessel, it's unfortunately consent enough for them to, deem it a catastrophe, and that is catastrophic implosion of the vessel. And like I said, uh, there's been a couple of people, the first Coast Guard district, that was saying that there was an outpouring of support. Like we all are, we're very compassionate human beings, and you know, have basically come out to try and give our heartfelt condolences, going out to the friends and loved ones of that crew. But as far as whether they have found any bodies or anything from the wreckage, they have not. Uh, I neither confirmed or denied that. You know, but for the most part, like I said, I'm Dina Marie, your host of Dina Marie Live, and when we talked about the world for over a century, the sinking of the Titanic has been, excuse me, we talk about some of the things that happened tragically that night. And we can only suspect that, even though we're a century into where we are right now, and we have another scenario that has happened, um, we can only surmise basically what we're being told. But even back then, the events that led up to the explosion of the Titanic, the potential causes, and whether it crossed the path of military red lines, like I said earlier. But the bottom line is everyone is really holding their breath to try and figure out what's really going on, because now we're a lot more involved as consumers opposed to back in the day, a century ago, when the Titanic happened. We were basically at the mercy of what we were given. But on April 10th of 1912, that Titanic was basically deemed unsinkable. But it set on its own voyage from Southampton, England, with over 2,000 passengers and crew members on it for 4 days to their journey. It tragically found the demise of those individuals. There were a few that I believe lived, but it collided with an iceberg, as far as what we are told, in the North Atlantic Ocean. But with that being said, that collision occurred at approximately 11:40 p.m. at night. And so, with that being said, on April 14th, that iceberg ripped open several compartments, and it caused the ship to gradually flood and eventually sink into, early hours on the 15th of April, which it took about not even 24 hours. But that loss of those lives, it was just devastating, because almost half, actually more than half of the people, 1,500 people, were basically passed because of the frigid waters. But if we talk about this and the cause that led to that catastrophe, then we can kind of say, okay, maybe this is something that could have happened if this particular submarine that we're talking about now was found. Different pieces of debris were found in the same place that the Titanic was found. Maybe it's concluded too that it somehow, if it didn't cross red lines, that it somehow had some other type of catastrophic event, that maybe it was subhumane temperatures or something that it couldn't undergo or withstand. And you would think that the submarine that was built, or the Titanic that was built years ago, even though it really wasn't a submarine, but I mean, I guess we can liken it in the same contents. It was a big boat. But the point is that somehow this submarine's contents were found in the same locale as the Titanic. So if the Titanic came across something that was unbearable and its debris is in that locale, then how likely could it be that this particular submarine too crossed into some of those boundaries and territories? Now, with that being said, these theories are suggesting that the Titanic's sinking in some way related to military incident. And if that's the case, nobody's ever going to tell, because those are confidential things that the military keeps to themselves. But I just implore you, if you have billions of dollars and have your own submarine, don't do that. Just don't do it. I don't understand. And even if you did have a submarine, okay, then if you have a submarine, well, first of all, you buy a submarine because you have billions of dollars. Don't you think that it's up to you to figure out where you can and can't go? It's just like owning a boat. You can't go past the buoys. You're not supposed to anyway, because you can get fined or you could die or any of the above. Okay. So with that being the case, these things could have been what has happened. Because I feel like if there's an explosion, if there are pieces and debris of this vessel, I hear you that Ikram, that it exploded. But that's basically what happens with if you have a cross the red lines. Basically, the military vessel or a torpedo may have destroyed that the billionaires Titanic. I mean, submarine, because you should know the military looks at it. I would say looks at it this way. You know, if you're another type of military entity, that you can't just cross these lines. That's the first thing. But before you even take off, somebody's supposed to know that you out there. So otherwise, you just look like somebody invading our territory, and they're not going to take too kindly to that. Then they're going to stop and ask questions. They're going to shoot and ask questions later. So unfortunately, to the demise of these individuals, like they said, 5 individuals on board, they have not basically stated they've found bodies, but they have found pieces of that particular submarine, and it has been concluded that it did belong to this submarine. And unfortunately, like the Titanic, it may have crossed into the military red lines, and it's speculative as a theory then. It's a speculative theory today, but evidence supporting it is largely circumstantial for the Titanic. But I believe that the government will eventually release what they can in regard to this particular marine sinking. I think that's just right down crazy that somebody would go out and do something like that. So anyway, I just hope and wish that all of these family members are doing well, and that we can hopefully find out what has happened with these individuals, because I think it's just like so baffling, right? So baffling. Um, so there's some things that you just don't give credence to. Celebrities. I'm talking about how Elon Musk and um, Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg are talking about how they're going to fight each other in a UFC octagon, and it would be like the biggest fight in history of the world. I'm trying to figure out, can they fight? Can they even fight? That's what's interesting to me. That's crazy. But, you know, again, here we got 2 people with money. They don't have nothing to do. Now, if y'all need something to do, y'all can come sponsor this podcast, Dita Marie Live, and we'll talk all day long about your shenanigans and buffoonery. But with all that being said, so fight on. People weren't exactly sure, I think, in regard to if these 2 guys were messing around, but as it's been brought up, Dana White, who does, like, he's like the an official or a the president of UFC. He basically is like, they're not kidding, okay? And as for how big an event it could be, Dana White is just stupid. But again, people with money, I love y'all and I respect y'all, and I believe there's some humble ones of y'all, and y'all been blessed, and I'm not hating, because I'm gonna join the ranks of you. But I just feel like there is a lot more to do. We just got through talking about the homelessness in Los Angeles. Why not donate some money to get these homeless people moved out of the city of Los Angeles? There's a lot of creative homeless people. They can build their own little tents up and get themselves together. But they are serious. Mark Zuckerberg is to fight Elon Musk in the UFC. They're talking about how it could be the largest fight ever. And I think that they're talking and having communication around Lloyd and Connor. Because people are just going to want to see the stupidity of it. But if it does triple that, of course, there'll be no limit on what the thing can make. So we'll have to keep tuned for that. That's amazing to me when we talk about different things popping up in our culture. And here we got people hungry and living out in the streets of LA, let alone New York and the other cities and states. Yep. we're going with popcorn. Me and Ikram are gonna be on the front row, and we're gonna be sitting there looking at that. Like, I don't know about the front row because I don't know if I want blood splatters. Excuse me, I don't know about the blood splatter, so I don't know. I'm gonna keep what gun. Let's keep on saying, you know, we have to make light of things and laugh when we can, but at the same time, there's a certain seriousness when it comes down to making sure that our people that are having struggles and sacrifices in their life are being put in a place of importance so that we can try and help those people out. And also, I wanted to let you all know that the homeless population, and we will be having one of the students of the film industry here in Los Angeles, and her name is Velvet Robert, and she's going to be joining us. And I'll be in the days and weeks to come of when she'll be joining us. But she did a documentary, and it's going to be so exciting because she's going to share some of that footage with me and us on our show so that we're able to talk more in depth, because this can not only be good for a charity event that we could host here in Los Angeles, but will also be helpful for those in other places to help in their area. So stay tuned to that. And now we're going to go on to our next segment of Each One Teach One. This is an awesome topic, everybody. Please stay right where you are or come right back. I'll be right back after these messages. Well, there won't be any messages, but I am going to set up. I'll be right back. Thank you. The next one, Each One Teach One.